Welcome, everyone, to the Real Whovians cast. I am your host, Matrixlord212, and I'm with Scott. What's up, Scott?
Hello, all.
All right, so yeah, this is stemming from the Everything Show 251. I'm sorry, yeah, 251. So basically, we were talking about how Moffat had a hard time, the fact that they had no say over the Eighth Doctor. That Doctor was canceled. The BBC had licensed it out to Fox to do their own thing. And while they can't stand that whole thing, they took a lot of stuff from the Eighth Doctor. A lot. Okay? But one of the biggest things that I can't stand is when they retcon stuff and when they try to make it like things never happened. Now, here's the interesting thing.
Or they would make it seem as though this one doctor was the one that actually allowed this particular thing to happen when we know.
I have a theory, and it probably could explain things best. The fact that the doctor died on the table, right? And whatever reason the regeneration started, but he was technically done, right? Dead, whatever. Because it was far along, right? You know how he has a problem with regeneration sometimes?
Yeah.
Or there'll be when Peter Davison's Doctor, the Fifth Doctor, died. Well, I'm sorry, not died, regenerated. It was too far along that it caused a chemical imbalance or whatever with the Sixth Doctor, where he was choking out his companion, right? So there's some weird stuff going on, especially with the Third Doctor regenerating to the Fourth, because someone had to help the regeneration along. His stability, things were not right. So my theory with that is that the regeneration energy tried to do its best to bring him back, but he was not given two hearts, one heart.
Yeah.
And it's because it's just the regeneration energy, it's just too far along. It brought him back, but it didn't bring him back that way. Now, we've heard the Ninth Doctor said he could regenerate. He had two heads, no heads, whatever. Like regeneration energy could do weird stuff like that. He's not technically. I mean, that would explain to me why he had one heart. And they're saying that he was part human. His mind was jumbled. He didn't really know. And I think that the TARDIS was probably protecting the TARDIS. See, that's the thing. Before, I don't know if the TARDIS was protecting him, or maybe
one thing I will point out here is when they were looking at when the Masters, that's the human iris. Let's not forget when he was looking at that, he was kissing the Dr. Grace Holloway. So how do we not know that he was a
reflection?
Yeah,
right. Yeah. So I don't think that he was part human. I think that he was just regenerated, where he was, maybe at the time, because again, if he's so many hours of his regeneration cycle, maybe the second heart did not manifest until after the regeneration energy was done, which you would see that off camera, and it would be just like David Tennant, who, like 10th Doctor, grew back a hand, so it might have been at the time he wasn't fully regenerated. And he wasn't fully.
Another theory I was going on is he wanted to trip up that one doctor enough so he could distract him to steal his name badge. I'm just wondering if he didn't say that to go, oh, that's funny, and then sort of a little sleight of hand.
Right. But now it gets into another thing about. I take it back, because the TARDIS was not aware until, I believe, I mean, they say it was, but my whole thing is the moment that the Ninth Doctor absorbed the time vortex from Rose and put it back into the TARDIS, he was forever bonded and linked to the TARDIS, where you could snap your fingers and open up the TARDIS. He's bonded with the TARDIS. That was my explanation for it. So then after that, the TARDIS is chirping, the TARDIS is this, the TARDIS is that. When the TARDIS was being destroyed in Journey's End, he felt the pain of the TARDIS burning because he's connected to the TARDIS. Okay? So That's my thing with the TARDIS. Now, Moffat, one of the biggest things I have a problem with, the one major thing with Moffat over everything else, is the fact that he had to put in his own doctor that forever has people battling each other to say, even Matt Smith mistakenly saying Jodie Whittaker's 14 and all this other stuff. And I have a massive problem with that because the way I see things, and again, another thing that I didn't realize was I didn't count the regeneration of David Tennant in Stolen Earth because I felt that the transformation had to be complete in order for that regeneration to have used.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that now it does count where he was healed but another doctor popped out bothers me because, again, I never saw it that way. I see it sort of like Peter Capaldi using up regeneration energy for the Daleks, and that's the same thing with Tennant, that it wasn't really completed. If it's completed, the regeneration is done. But I was proven wrong because, of course, Moffat has to say that that counts. And also the fact that the Sisterhood of Karn told him he's dying in minutes, he can't regenerate, meaning that he cannot access that regeneration.
Mm-hmm.
And when they gave him that potion, to this day, I feel that...
Because they said in the Brain of Morbius that elixir of life was supposed to heal, it's supposed to aid in some way, shape, and form a Time Lord.
Right. I feel that that was a regeneration, an extra regeneration. And I do feel that that was never meant to be. He was always supposed to be the Ninth Doctor.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be the Eighth Doctor into the Ninth Doctor. And they sort of, with the Time War and things getting crazy, a new Doctor popped out of mothballs. But my whole thing is that he never made the decision not to push the button. Clara made the decision for the 11th Doctor, and the 11th Doctor shut it down, not the War Doctor. Okay? So he's saying, oh, I'm accepted as a doctor. No, you can't be accepted as a doctor because you're obviously not going to fight your future selves and push the button anyway. So if something like that happens, you'd probably listen to yourself and be like, okay. But he was created for a purpose, and that was to end the Time War. And when the purpose was done, that regeneration that was meant to be happened.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So that artificial add-on of that potion that created a new Doctor in the place of the one that was always meant to be the Ninth Doctor. Right? Technically, you know how you're saying this stuff with Jodie? Technically, you could say that Missy did something to the Doctor that put something in the place of a regeneration that was meant to be. But they're not going to do that. But the thing is, still, I love John Hurt, and I love his movies, and rest in peace. But, and I'm telling you to this day, I don't consider, I have a massive problem with that. And if I ever took over Doctor Who or whatever, I would fix it. I would fix it because I'm going to tell you right now, it cannot be left like that, ever. Ever. Just like they had to fix that the Eighth Doctor was the one that didn't push the button, I would fix it. Because technically, when you introduce other Doctors, you're kind of altering the past, kind of.
Yeah, you are.
So maybe it was the Eighth Doctor that pushed the button originally. And now you created a new Doctor. Now, another thing, too, I have a problem with is the fact that Moffat wanted to be the one to solve the regeneration thing, but he screwed everything up and did not communicate with his other writers where they established that he had a regeneration left in Nightmare in Silver. It was established. Mr. Clever looked into the brain and said, oh, shit, you're right. I see it. There's regeneration energy. You can regenerate again. Okay? So that drives me nuts because, again, I don't like writers contradicting. Like, that just drives me crazy. So my whole thing is that maybe the 11th Doctor was just so senile that he didn't realize he had a regeneration left. And he just, because he didn't even know the guy Barnable's name, the other kid and that kid. And that the regeneration energy, they need to give him a new cycle regenerations because to make him regenerate, because he was just too far gone to probably regenerate. You know? That, or, I mean, I'm just trying to figure out a way. I don't know. I mean, he gave regeneration energy to River. See, that the way I explain that is technically you could say that the David Tennant thing was not a complete regeneration, but him giving a whole regeneration to River to heal her hands was kind of a regeneration.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's part of the end. I don't know. It's just confusing. One of these days, I want clarity.
At least he didn't use it as a weapon as Capaldi did.
I just want clarity one of these days. I want them to definitively explain, that the War Doctor was never there originally and just placed in there. And I don't care how they do it. I mean, you could pose the argument that the Watcher was the last Doctor, and that he went back in time and regenerated into himself to alter one key event, which is the Time War, technically. You could say that, honestly. And that everything we see after that, everything's altered from what it was supposed to be originally. Meaning that it would even cancel out that Valyard. Because the Valyard, in a presence from the future to the past, that would not, it might not happen now. Although I do want to see the Valyard at one point in time.
I think that's who Jodie is. Who the hell said that? That damn ghost floating around here saying those things, that Jodie Whittaker is actually the Valyard.
She didn't even do anything bad yet. I just, I don't know, man. I hope Chibnall could turn it around, and I hope Chibnall could convince me.
Chibnall, the way I'm looking at it, the way he's doing it, he is trying to make himself look like the top banana to such an extent that
Moffat got him drunk. Moffat admitted that he got him drunk, right?
Yeah.
And they maybe in haste he shouldn't have took it. That maybe there was no one else, and they had no choice. But I honestly think that, from everything I've seen, if he wasn't good,
he's catering too much to the SJW type of side of life now, and that's a sad thing.
See, that's the thing. If you're not,
I know a lot of people are going to say, "Well, they had a lot of environmental storylines of the past." Yeah, they did. We all admit that, but they've had them cloaked in actual adventures. So when you're looking back upon it, that environmental issue was a subplot opposed to a major league plot.
Even Godzilla had friggin' smog monsters made up of the pollution and everything. But here's the thing, I'm telling you right now, and I don't care. I have to speak my mind. Chibnall was a terrible showrunner. Now, okay, I feel that way, but we are stuck with him. So get good, obviously, or get a clue, because we have no one else right now, Chibnall. So you know what? Get your groove on, get it right, because if you don't get it right,
we could go Fuller from the Star Trek show.
But you don't need to be explained. You don't need me to explain that you're going to go down in history as the man who canceled Doctor Who. Nobody wants that on their name, and that will affect you if you try to do work after that, because it's always going to come back to bite you on the ass.
Look at John Nathan Turner. Who remember the guy who had Doctor Who canceled initially?
John Nathan Turner.
Yeah, John Nathan Turner.
You always have that block spot, that horrible thing on your ledger, on your thing, on your your name.
And the guy who basically had technically Survival was the first time it was canceled, but during Colin Baker's era, it was also partially canceled in a manner of speaking.
Right, almost. I got to tell you right now, and I know I never liked Survival. I hated Survival. Honestly, I all the time say I hated that episode, and I hated that episode was the last we ever saw of Doctor Who. You know, I don't know what it is. I don't know if they were trying to bash each other's heads and brains in with a rock, and I got mad about that because I'm like, no way. It just bothered me at so many levels, and I just did not. That was like a shitty master story. I'm sorry, and I'll never get over that. That's the last time we saw him as the master. I know he did the video game and everything too, but that bothered me, and the fact that we had such a great, there's so much potential, so much they could do. They did such amazing work, and with all these different episodes they did, Remembrance of Daleks, Battlefield. It was Curse of Fenrir. Jesus, there was so much good stuff, and then we got Survival, and I'm like, shit, did not like that at all.
I always thought because of what happened with Remembrance of the Daleks and Survival, that's why he didn't have Ace with him, and when he went to the trial for the Master, so he left her with.
Well, that was the whole incarnation after you're talking about.
I know.
Trial of the Time was Colin Baker, the Sixth Doctor. Sylvester McCoy is the Seventh. That was the whole.
Still, he left Ace with Professor Chronotis. So that way, with the whole notion that I'll be back, but didn't anticipate.
But where was this?
This is how I was perceiving it.
When did this happen? When he left Ace?
When the Seventh Doctor went to the trial of the Master on Skaro. My whole perception of that was.
Oh, yes. You're talking about the Fox movie.
Yeah, I'm talking about the Fox movie.
1996.
Yeah. That he left her with Professor Chronotis because he knew how things went in Survival and.
See, the thing is, I don't recognize. I love Big Finish. It's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not into it I'm not into audios, but I mean, I bought some. Some are cool, but
I still got a few to listen to.
I do not recognize, and I've never recognized Big Finish as canon. I kind of in my head said that, oh yeah, we could say that the Eighth Doctor stuff is canon, but now they're doing stuff to contradict that. That's not even true. Although they did have Night of the Doctor, with the Eighth Doctor mentioning companions from Big Finish. So I just, what? Big Finish is great for Doctor Who. It's great, and they promote Doctor Who better than they do themselves. But Doctor Who keeps pissing on Big Finish because they're like, oh, we're canceling that thing out. We're canceling that thing out.
Because Big Finish is doing Doctor Who right.
Yeah.
And they're not liking the fact that people are liking the stuff that's coming out of Big Finish, but they're not liking the stuff that's coming out of the series. So, of course, the side that doesn't like how they're being portrayed is not piss on.
I have a problem with the Trial of the Valyard because the fact that they're trying to make it like he was cloned or grown and it wasn't really the Doctor takes away from the fact that was a thing in his head the longest time, that at some point in time he's going to be evil. If you take that out of the element, that sucks.
I will say this much. I'm sort of torn about that. I'm wondering if this is, of course, harkening back to the 96 movie. I wonder if the fact that that Master got knocked into the Eye of Harmony, it didn't get reverberated back to the fact that.
No, the Time Lords rescued him from that.
Yeah.
Flat out, they said that.
I know, but still, it was the whole notion that.
They pulled him out of time like they pulled Clara.
Yeah.
But the only thing is they kept him. They didn't put him back. Because they didn't have to. So that's another thing that doesn't make any sense too with the Clara thing. She should be in the what the hell is it? I forgot now. But she should be in there with Danny Pink. That's another thing. There was something coming out lately that they're saying that she did conventions. Jenna Louise Coleman, she wasn't smiling. What's that about? I got to look into that. I love Jenna Louise Coleman. Jenna Coleman, they took her middle of the way. But I love her, so I don't know if that's true. I have to look into that. I don't know if I believe that. I mean, I don't know. And then again, I never met her in person, so listen, it's nice talking about Doctor Who. Chibnall, get it right.
Yes, Chibnall.
Just get it right, dude. Stop the bullshit.
Stop trying to make everything political and just write a story.
Right. Stop. Just get it right. Get the villains back.
Yes.
Throw the kitchen sink at her.
This is, like I said, this is what they needed to do leading up to the 50th, and they can still do this with the new series. One, when it comes to take the original monsters, take the original villains, other than the Daleks, Cybermen, and Centauran's Master and Missy.
Right.
And then the companion. Every other season, now I'm saying this, every other season, take 2 out of those 3 and do either an adventure or a cameo of 2 out of those 3 aforementioned deals.
Yeah.
Next up, what you've got to do. I realize people can relate better if the person is from modern day. I understand that.
Well, if they used Clara that from the past, that would have been excellent.
Yeah, that's what I would have loved them to do, is get away from using a modern day companion. All right? That's what got old. That's what really got old real quick. By the 3rd companion, they should have had a companion from the past. And I'm not talking about a temporally displaced one. To this day, I feel that Bill, of all the companions that could have been great as somebody from the past, would have been Bill. 1, she was black. So you had a whole line of things you could have done there. 2, she was gay. So you could have pulled her from the 80s and look at what was going on in the 80s to cause a fear of that in there. So that could have slightly made it understood why she was bringing up her sexuality every now and then.
I agree with you. They should have a companion.
They should have had.
I agree with you.
And finally, and the thing which really annoys me the most, is they should have been doing a lot less Earth-based adventures.
Yes, I agree with
that. Granted, they had a new Doctor with the second season, a second series, but I call it a second season, nonetheless, of the new Doctor Who. Granted, they had a new Doctor, but still, by the second season, they should have been at least getting away from Earth more often. By the 3rd season, the Earth and non-Earth should, I'm going to say, if you want to have one more, one less, fine. But from the 3rd season on, the Earth adventures should have been a lot less than your space adventures. That's what they should have done. And if they started doing that, if they started doing those 3 notions, the whole notion of a companion not from modern day, doing 2 out of the 3 of the whole companion villains and yada yada, and non-Earth adventures, Doctor Who could have been started looked upon as a lot greater show, and they could have easily made a lot better episodes as well.
I agree. Yeah, and why don't they do? I don't understand what would be the big deal to do that. I mean, if you could do a show like Sherlock, but set in the past, why can't you just have a companion like that?
Yeah,
like Clara from Victorian era. That was great.
Because to me, I thought it would be kind of basically just think about it. You have a companion that was raised on thinking that the future was going to be Star Trek, Star Wars-ish. They arrive here, and it's like, oh, you repainted. Nice. Right. Take me back.
Yeah, I agree with you. Definitely. But anyway, hopefully he can put it together, and we don't need no phony rating system to show that she's on top.
Yeah, phony.
And we get the actual rating system that they use for Capaldi and for David Tennant and Matt Smith. And
they were basing it on his last one. They were basing it on his last season, and the fact that Capaldi season was aired during this particular time period opposed to another time period.
I don't know. But anyway, we're going to end it right there. Hopefully Chimnall can put it together and be good. All right. Thank you guys. Take care. Bye for now.